Hey, everybody, welcome back to Vegas Tips and Tricks Weekly. As the thumbnail would suggest, this is kind of our final show, at least in this particular format. I don't know how many of you watched our Vegas Tips and Tricks number 99 show this past Wednesday. We talked a little bit about what we're doing going forward with the channel. And one of the things is revamping this weekly broadcast. It's going to be a lot more sort of eclectic. A lot of you, I think, and I myself really enjoyed the old Wednesday show that we did a few years ago. We would just like do random stuff. We would go through a car wash. We would try some strange frozen meal. Um, we visited historical sites. We just did whatever we felt like doing. Um, and while I do want there to be more of a Vegas focus to the channel and to the show than we had sometimes with the Wednesday show, at the same time, I do want to incorporate more of those little fun things. One thing I kind of want to do, and I'm going to try to do during the course of the week, is just record little clips about things going on in my life or funny moments or things that I see or things that I do that I think are interesting. And we'll just incorporate that into the show. But Vegas Tips and Tricks Weekly, as we've defined it, is going to probably get a new name. And so technically, we're going to say that this is the last show. Again, for folks that may have not necessarily watched our Wednesday show this past week, um, we are going to be taking a week off um, next Wednesday, and the thumbnail is already up. It's already been scheduled. We will do a live stream. We haven't done a live stream, I think, for a couple of months now. I think we did one right before our trip to Vegas in September. So that again, that's been basically 2 months, which is kind of how it seems to work out most of the time. So we're going to do a live on Wednesday, and that live is going to be Vegas Tips and Tricks number 100. Um, and God, I don't know how long has it been? A year and a half? Longer? Since we started doing the Wednesday Vegas Tips and Tricks show, our little sort of 2, 3 minute discussion about different parts of Vegas, which ultimately kind of evolved into little miniature hotel reviews of just about every place you could possibly want to stay in Las Vegas. So we're wrapping that up, and I think we'll have a good time with that on Wednesday. It's 6 o'clock Vegas time. That's 9 on the East Coast, 8 Central Time, 7 Mountain Time, and of course on the West Coast, 6 o'clock. So hopefully some of y'all can join me. So there will not be a normal Vegas Tips and Tricks number 100 because this is Vegas Tips and Tricks number 100. And then we will be taking off next Saturday, which is the last Saturday of October. And then we'll be coming back in November with a revamped broadcast. We are going to be doing the show from now on using our Final Cut Pro editing software, which we used, I think, once or twice on the channel, but we're committing ourselves to going that way. We're going to have some fun little, little fun kind of intro bumper kind of thing, and just have a good time with that as well. So that's what's ahead. Big live stream on Wednesday. We're not giving anything away except our time. And the only thing we ask of you is your time. So if you can join us, that'll be great. We'll probably kind of focus on talking about hotels because that really was kind of the theme that emerged in the Vegas Tips and Tricks 100 episodes. So bring your ideas about Vegas hotels, your favorites, your least favorites, etc. Along those lines, when I did the initial show about hotels in general a couple of weeks ago, which unfortunately didn't actually get uploaded until last week, I realized there was more that I wanted to talk about than I had actually covered in that first show. All right, so by the way, we are on the Imperial IPA today, the New Belgium. good quality strong beer. So anyway, so let's talk a little bit about some things that I think people sometimes miss when they check into their Vegas hotels, and really sometimes hotels anywhere. Number one, when you book your hotel, whether you book it as we've suggested, and we've seen some sort of nightmare stories this past week in the Facebook group about some folks that booked third party and ended up with a very, very bad experience. Uh, let's be fair. Most people aren't going to end up with that bad an experience, but it does happen, and it does tend to happen more when you book third party. That being said, whether you book through a third-party booking agent or you book directly through the hotel or through the Players Club, make sure that you pay attention to some of the included benefits because very frequently they exist. If you book through, Orbitz or Travelocity or something like that, a lot of times there'll be some sort of, bonus thing. There might be, a food credit. So make sure if you have something like that, that you take advantage of it. And they're probably not going to mention it to you. They're not just going to hand you money and say, go eat. And that's even true if you book through your Players Club, where you may not only have food credit or resort credit, but also potentially free play. You're going to have to make sure that you ask about this stuff. So first, be aware when you book what you're getting besides your hotel room. And then second, make sure that you ask about it when you check in, and in many cases, you may actually have to go to the Players Club, particularly if you have free play. Um, Typically, if you have any kind of resort credit or food credit, the thing is you just have to charge something to your room, and then that amount will come off. So if you charge $80 worth of food to your room, and you have a $50 food credit, you'll actually end up only paying $30 for those things. Um, Again, it does not pay. I mean, it does pay to double check and make sure what restaurants are covered under this. In some cases, it is very, very liberal, a very liberal interpretation. I know very often through either MGM or Caesars, you may be able to charge to your room from restaurants at other properties within that particular company, and you may be able to use that as part of your food credit or resort credit. But you will never know for sure unless you ask. So, again, make sure you're aware of benefits that you may have besides your actual hotel stay, and make sure you take advantage of them. And I mean, they can be very different than you might imagine. I mean, yeah, sometimes through these ridiculous resort fees, you can actually get some things that are of value. You may get, a free newspaper. If you want to read the news, you might probably get a USA Today if you want to go to the business center or whatever. You may be able to print out a boarding pass. And these are not huge benefits, but if you're staying in a hotel and you're paying for a room, and you have benefits that are useful to you, make sure to take advantage of them. And like, a really good example is if you're staying downtown at Golden Gate or the D, you typically get a couple of passes to go to Stadium Swim at Circa, which is, arguably one of the half a dozen most interesting pool situations anywhere in Las Vegas. So look and make sure you know. Another thing is a lot of people don't take advantage of a lot of what is available at their hotel. And I'm not necessarily talking just about a fitness club or a business center, that sort of thing. Most properties are going to have things like that. Most properties will have a pool. So if it's pool season, roughly March to October, and you feel like just hanging out for a few hours, you're going to have that opportunity. And you may even be able to go to other pools, again, within that particular company's resorts. Um, but it's more than that. It's, when you check into a hotel, you get to your room, you get settled in, you take all the necessary precautions, you check for, cleanliness, bed bugs, make sure you're keeping everything locked up. Um, Walk around the property and see what's available to you. And I don't mean free stuff necessarily, but I mean be aware of the games in the casino. Be aware of the different bars, restaurants. Be aware of shows at the property. Normally, almost any hotel, I would say every hotel I can think of that I've stayed at in Las Vegas in the last 10, 15, 20 years, they will have a TV channel. Usually it's like channel two or three on their assortment that will tell you about all the things you can do in that hotel. And you might be surprised. Yeah, maybe your hotel doesn't have the best steakhouse in Las Vegas or the best buffet in Las Vegas or the best Mexican restaurant in Las Vegas, but they might have one. And they might have a coupon. They might have a discount for you. And it may be much more accessible than some of those other restaurants or clubs or whatever. There may be a show that you hadn't heard about that may be discounted, inexpensive. I mean, the example I always use is years ago I stayed at Bally's, and at the time I was, well, I guess I still am technically, a diamond member of Caesars Rewards. And at the time, you would get two free tickets to a list of shows, a pretty extensive list of shows. And I ended up using one of my tickets to see a show called Paranormal, which was playing, it still does play, I believe, at Bally's, now Horseshoe. It was a great show. And you may not get a free ticket, but I know when I checked in that time, there was a little, coupon or something that I could have gotten it for less than, face value. So definitely worth checking out. So just be aware of what's available on property because sometimes it's surprising. You may think, oh, yeah, well, I'm just going to stay at Luxor, but I'm not going to spend any time there because it's too low rent for me. Well, you may discover that there's actually some good restaurants, some good bars, some good shows, some things to do right there on your property. Maybe easier to charge those things to your room, maybe even get, some of that comped off at the end of your stay. And you don't have to wander all over the strip. And besides, most people that go to Vegas, let's say most, probably 50% or more. When they go back, they stay someplace else. So, it may be your only stay at Excalibur. So even if you don't think it's the best hotel in the world, and to be frank, it isn't, there's still things to do there that are going to be right there on site, right downstairs from your room. So why not do them? Okay. Um, yeah. So that's the thing. Just, many people, they get a room, they don't realize they have food credit. They don't realize they have, casino credit. They don't realize what's available on site. Uh, Check out the map of the hotel. I do recommend that. Most any website will have a sort of literally a map of the property. If not, you can definitely check out my friend George's app, Vegas Near Me. They will have that map basically for every major casino anywhere in Las Vegas. And you can find it can be a challenge to find yourself just get around some of these huge properties. So familiarize yourself with that. And I think as a result, you will discover there's a lot more to do than you thought at your hotel. There may be some great deals available at your hotel. And, again, it may be your only time staying at Luxor or at Harrah's. So why not take advantage of what's right there under your roof? So, all right. So, yeah. So that's going to do it. This Vegas Tips and Tricks weekly show is over forever. But we're bringing back something very much like it, very much like the show we did again, a couple, 2, 3 years ago that I think was a lot of fun. And I think it's going to be fun to again have much more of just kind of a you know, freewheeling, whatever we feel like doing, kind of format. You don't necessarily have to sit here and look at the blurry background of my bookcase every week, which I think will be a blessing. So, all right. Again, make sure to join us on Wednesday for the big Vegas Tips and Tricks number 100 celebration live stream. And we'll be back here in a couple of weeks with a new show, the new format. So I hope you'll enjoy that. We're certainly going to do everything we can here at Vegas Tips and Tricks headquarters to make sure that it is, in fact, an entertaining product. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So, all right, until then, I hope you have a great, lucky, and healthy week. We'll see y'all again real soon. Bye.